goes wrong here, your team car is so far behind because so many riders get dropped. The commissaires, the race officials, don't let the team cars fill the gaps, because as riders close those gaps, the team cars have then got nowhere to go, or those cars assist riders in getting back on, and the riders use the slipstreams of the cars to get back on. So that's why the cars aren't allowed in the gaps. That creates the problem that if one of the BMC riders or one of the other teams at the front here gets a problem, their team car could be a minute and a half, 2 minutes behind them. And if you're waiting that long to get serviced, then you're not getting back on at this stage of the bike race.
Vincenzo Nibali there, 39 seconds down in the overall, chasing in third position. Likes the downhill as always. 60 k's per hour, 68 k's as TJ Van Garderen takes it up. Van Garderen at the top of your picture, just behind him, Bob Jungels. The aforementioned Nibali third place, fourth place is Jack Haig on the road. Just behind him, de facto leader, if you like, Dylan Teuns.
Yeah, and second place there, Jungels is in the national champions jersey of Luxembourg, not the usual Quick-Step blue jersey, before you get confused.
Quick-Step, who picked up their 41st victory of the season yesterday. That was a win at the Vuelta a Burgos in Spain. Matteo Trentin.
It's a team that we kind of thought was in a little bit of disarray and didn't really have the money to keep going at the level they were, but then Jungels has just re-signed for them for the next 3 years, so hopefully something's been sorted out. But as we've said as well, you know, the rumour is that Kittel will be leaving. Possible destination being Katusha, given that Christoph is now moving on, although it's not a done deal yet. It's rather like the Neymar saga, just with a lot less zeros on the end of it.
There are a lot of fantastic memes on Twitter and social media of Neymar in his Team Sky jersey. Even they couldn't afford him.
Checking out the options. Cammy.
What are you sliding?
Yeah, this is the very start of that penultimate first category climb, Rob, and you've already referenced that it's 9.5% the start of this climb. The rest of it's about 5.25% average, but very steep at the bottom here.
5 kilometre climb, and well, looking for the definition of swinging, you've got it.
Give me a bottle, quick, give me a bottle. I know I've had one, but give me another one, hang on to it.
That was quite sticky, that.
Well, that one wasn't, was it? That was see at the finish.
Whoa. Ow, ow, ow. Deary me. The world champion.
That's great to see, though, isn't it? It's, you know, that he's put that much effort into it, and he's the world champion, and it shows the people at home that go out on a Sunday and every now and then go up a climb and feel like getting off or walking. These guys are human after all, and it does happen to them.
Humbling. A little bit of a push for Pedro Sagan. No, he doesn't want that. He's had enough run-ins with the commissaires recently.
Yeah. It's just, you know, when you're in the state he's in at the moment, you just want to get to the finish. You want to be in your own little bubble. You don't want anyone to talk to you, come and see you, give you a bottle or anything else. You just want to get home.
Well, Sagan will be looking to finish the race, and he'll be hoping that his teammate Rafał Majka can do the business at the front. Majka sits in 6th position here with a black and white jersey on, green helmet. In front of him is Vincenzo Nibali. Domenico Pozzovivo's there. Jack Haig is there, the Australian. And the top 2 riders at the front, TJ Van Garderen, and behind him, Bob Jungels. 55 there from Team Sky's Wout Poels, who's just moved his way up. Well, and then a gap. No Diego Rosa left. Whoa, wow.
Your group of 30 is now down to 10.
TJ Van Garderen doing the damage. It looks as though
14.
Rui Costa's just held on.
14 riders in that front group, Rob.
Also there is Wilco Kelderman in the white and black. Has one teammate with him. Adam Yates hasn't made it.
Adam Yates hasn't made it. Jack Haig has, and interesting to see who has got teammates and who hasn't. BMC clearly have, but need the camera to pan back to see if Mike has got anyone in there.
Well, Jack Haig's at 1 minute and 58 seconds. Adam Yates was the designated leader at 33 seconds from the overall lead.
But we said yesterday, didn't we? Short, sharp, very steep climbs don't suit Adam Yates. He pushes quite a big gear, and you can't do that up climbs like this. It just doesn't work.
Well, he's in the second group chasing on. At the minute, it's Dimension Data trying to close that. Nathan Haas, I think, doing that job.
Yeah, and you kind of have your money on that coming back together, but I think the fireworks really are going to start from this group. It's a group of climbers, and they are really going to start attacking this. A couple of riders in there from Sunweb. Team on the up at the moment, aren't they, for sure?
Yeah, with Wilco Kelderman, a slightly bigger frame there at the front. We've seen Chad Hager being dropped earlier on. Imagine that it's Sam Oman who is hanging around with him. That's the difference between the two groups. So the car's been put in that gap already. Wow. Neutral service comes across. Interesting to see what the dynamics are. And with the lone chaser, looks to be the rider from Dimension Data, you get the feeling that there's not enough representation and not enough understanding to try and close that gap down behind. Nobody's working together.
Well, the Dimension Data Director Sportive's probably on the radio saying who's in the front group, and at the moment the answer's no one. So he's not got a choice there. He's got to try and get across. They've got to have someone in the front group, but it looks like he's gone back there as well.
Patrick Conrad is staying with Peter Sagan. I wonder if they've got the news about Sagan's Polish teammate Maciej Bodnar, who was 2 seconds away from becoming European champion today in the time trial. Heartbreak for the man who won the Marseille time trial at the Tour de France. Obviously in great form. Bodnar, one of the biggest helpers in Sagan's career so far today.
Well, don't forget Landa missed the Tour de France podium by 1 second.
This is David Lozano in the meantime at the back, former multiple mountain bike and cyclocross champion of Spain, riding for the all diabetes team of Team Novo Nordisk. Lozano didn't find out he had diabetes until he was 22. Sagan, in the meantime, for his leisurely riding with Patrick Conrad, the Austrian.
Yeah, there's absolutely no intent there whatsoever. He's just getting to the finish, and tomorrow it'll be, well, he'll have 2 tasks to do tomorrow. He'll be defending that Sprints jersey, the white Sprints jersey that he'll have on his shoulders tomorrow. He'll take that off Danny Van Poppel, and touch wood, hopefully for them, he'll be defending Rafa Majka's yellow jersey.
TJ Van Garderen then, as this gap is opening up now. It's not quite the 3 minutes 3 seconds we were seeing. In fact, that's 3 minutes 3 seconds, the yellow jersey, pardon me. But I would say that we're talking about 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah, it might be just a little bit more than that, but it's certainly not coming back, is it? It's going out rather than coming back. So interesting. We've got 3 BMC riders in the front here, 2 from Sunweb, but I don't think there's another team that's got more than 1 rider in here.
Well, TJ Van Garderen looks as though he's being sacrificed on this particular climb. It's his job from start to finish. On the previous climb, we had the teammate Rowan Dennis, so this looks like it's a team plan. In the meantime, this is what's going back with the leader. Matej Mohoric is there now, but it's all smiles between Sagan and Conrad.
Interesting that Van Garderen's pushing on as hard as he is. Sagan's gone now. This front group is fairly well established. Majka's in there, Turns is in there, so they haven't really got too much to gain by absolutely, you know, by Van Garderen absolutely.
Just as you say
himself.
that, it looks as though he's finished, at least for now. The way he's set up, he might just sit back on at the end and see if he's got something else to give. We'll see. Or is he completely out of gas?
And that shows you the way that nobody else has taken up this chase.
Now Samuel Sanchez looks around, pardon me. Has a word with Dylan Turns.
But it shows you that there's not a lot to be gained by us driving on from this attack here. Having said that, it looks like Sammy Sanchez is pushing on with Pozzovivo.
Well, Sanchez is there. He's probably not going to drag Pozzovivo with him. He's just going to see if he can probably force the rest of those to chase and see what's going to happen. Sanchez looks around, the former Olympic champion. Sanchez, who's at more than 3 minutes, so he's no danger to the overall at the minute. But now then, here we go, Haig. Haig to go to the front, and Haig really is going to start to drive it now. This is interesting. No, the teammate behind. He's almost 2 minutes down. Jack Haig trying to throw his hat in the ring for a stage win.
Out and out stage win effort. This is nothing to lose. No teammate in here, as you say, but certainly hasn't gone anywhere, has it?
I'm just looking behind, because I think there might be a teammate on towards the back. I wonder if Adam Yates has got back on. Didn't see him in the initial group, but there was somebody with a very, very similar yellow-coloured helmet to the back. We'll just check that out, as Peter Sagan's not getting the drink he ordered at the bar.
Yeah, it's like, where's the Coke? I want the full fat, full sugar
There we go,
Coke.
yeah, that's the one.
I don't want any of that diet sugar-free stuff right now.
He needs all the sugar he can get after the effort today. Jack Haig at the front.
Yeah.
It looks as though Adam Yates might well have made it onto this group. And he has, right at the back there.
Yeah.
Wow. So that explains things. Samuel Sanchez there, but they've got to be careful about towing Pozzovivo away, haven't they?
Well, not only that, the gap's coming back to the riders in the background as well. We were saying it's going out. Very interesting that they've let the Mavic neutral service car in there, because that gap, not very big at all.
There's something about traffic management at this race that's not quite right. In the meantime, Haig is putting in one mighty ride again. And look at Pozzovivo with his own little style behind, twisting and turning, and there is movement now. Rafał Majka.
Is that Van Garderen on the right-hand side of the road, or Sanchez? It looks like Van Garderen style that he's parked up.
Sanchez towards the back again, just behind Wout Poels. This time Adam Yates is going to be forced to try and close the gap once more. Dylan Teuns is looking strong. Vincenzo Nibali's up there, as is Wilco Kelderman. Maximum points over the top of the climb go to Jack Haig.
That's not what he's interested in. He wants the stage win. We saw him try and get it the other day, and he was caught out by the last kilometre climb that we were all surprised about the severity of it. Pozzovivo there, he's done what he wanted to do. He's not going to do too much work. We can see here Haig now has got about 8, maybe edging up to 10 seconds advantage.
Haig then with 19 kilometres to go. Adam Yates in the group behind. Wout Poels is back on.
Gary Beckett there with the trademark hat on the left for Cannondale Drapac, the Swan year that kept us up to date with a lot of the information about this race. So thank you to Gary and the team.
Rafał Majka looking around behind. Who makes the next move?
Well, someone's got to, because Jack Haig's got his head down here, and he'll push away if they're not careful.
Nibali on the right-hand side, the gold helmet, red top. And you're right, there are riders and riders getting back onto this group behind. And this gap is opening up. So there's a slight little bit of false flat. It goes up again. The next descent is short.
Yep, short, but very steep again. So Jack Haig's got his head down. The problem is when you make such an effort to open a gap up and you have to push on the flat, and we see here the false flat, to try and maintain it. As soon as you hit a climb, you do slow down so much that anyone chasing you that hasn't been working as hard as you closes the gap very quickly. But here we can see the properties around here looking very Swiss in the background. But look at the gap Jack Haig's opened up. Wow.
Now, someone's trying to come across it. Looks like it might be Nibali. Let's have a look. Panned back at 44 kilometres per hour on this ever so slight up and downhill section. When they do descend and start the final climb again, there is an 18.4% maximum gradient right at the end of the first kilometre, which has a 9.2% average. It's then 6.2, 7.8, 4.8. It's just over 4 kilometres long. Let's face it, it's a wall.
Sorry, did you say 18.4%?
Maximum.
Nice.
And it comes early on, as we said, right at the end of the first kilometre.
So that's really going to smack Jack Haig in the head, given the effort he's put in for the last 4 or 5 kilometres.
He's trying to eke out every little bit of rest he can here. Good to see what's happening behind. 68 kilometres per hour travelling at. Heading to Zakopane today. If you're just joining us, it's stage 6 of the Tour of Poland. Peter Sagan, the yellow jersey holder, has been dropped. He will not figure any part in the general classification of this race. He'll be nowhere near the podium. In fact, it's all down to his teammate Rafał Majka. We saw movement from behind. And Nibali, who did have a little attack, he was talking to Rafał Majka there. Both Italian speakers, both riders who have ridden together in various races before. And of course, hanging on, maybe thinking of a bit of a plan to upset the BMC dominance of this group.
Yep, 3 of them in this group trying to disrupt it and get to the finish. Nibali will be one that can put in an effort on that, as you say, 18% climb, or maximum 18% climb. And it's just a little bit of a sort of holding pattern now for this breakaway. They don't really need to push on too much. Quietly confident that they can bring Jack Haig back, given the severity of this last climb that's coming up.
Inno Zakarin in that front group as well. And this is the man they're all chasing. BMC being forced to do the chasing at the moment with Jack Haig.
Well, it'll kind of fall to them, and everybody else will say, hang on a minute, you've got 3 in this group. It's up to you to try and bring this one back.
24 seconds for Jack Haig. Remember, what they're approaching is pretty infernal. 18.4% maximum gradient as the soigneurs, the helpers, are forced to get out the way there. And discarding the bidon is Dylan Tertz.
Is it just me, Rob, or does it look very dark?
Very strange light at the end of today. Remember, it is late. Few dark clouds about. Plenty of people about to cheer on Jack Haig for his second big attack of the week here. 23-year-old from Australia. Exciting rider. Just 67 kilos for 1.90 m, and that's well above 6 foot, by the way, for those of you working in old money.
Well, we said this earlier in the week. It's about 6'4", to be honest with you, and 67 kilos is exceptionally light for someone of that height.
Zakarin, the back rider here. Dylan turns in front of him. There's Domenico Pozzovivo, Bob Jungels, Sam Oomen and Wilco Kelderman. Bob Jungels, Wout Poels, Rafał Majka, Vincenzo Nibali, Adam Yates. Also there at the front, TJ van Garderen and Samuel Sanchez. Rui Costa looks like he's still in here as well.
Very strong climbing group, isn't it? Very, very strong. So we really are going to see who's got the form going up this last climb.
Costa there in third wheel. There's TJ van Garderen at the front, Samuel Sanchez behind. Everybody's just taking gels, bidons, a little bit of whatever they can, because they're speeding into the base of the final categorized climb of the day. After that, there's a little descent and then an uphill drag to the finish at Zakopane. Well, he'd been through the town once today, but they haven't been through the finish line.
Well, an awful lot happens in the last 12 kilometres of this race, doesn't it? We've got the climb, we've got the descent, and then we've got the drag up to the finish. And you can see here, we're going down this last descent, and as we said earlier, the climbs out here are characterised by the fact that there's a massive descent down into a valley, and then they climb again straight away. They don't spend any time in the valleys getting any recovery at all.
This is Jack Haig riding for Adam Yates, who was stealthily there in that group behind. So stealthily, in fact, we couldn't see him. Riding, as Adam Yates does, very well. 13.5 kilometres to go.
Well, Jack Haig's got rid of that bottle with about 9 miles to go, as you say, in old money, 13k in new money. That's a long way to go without a bottle in this heat and on this terrain.
It's his second year as a pro, Jack Haig. He was a stagiaire at the end of 2015. Finished the Vuelta last year, his first Grand Tour. Second on GC at the Tour of Slovenia. Only Rein Taaramäe beat him there. Before that, in his first ever professional stage race, he finished 5th in the Herald Sun Tour, won by none other than Chris Froome. Second in the Tour de l'Avenir, when Marc Soler won it a couple of years ago. So he has credentials, doesn't he, at 23 years of age?
Not a bad list of results at 23, is it? So very good rider indeed. And there you can see Peter Sagan's teammate Rafał Majka, number 73 for Bora Hansgrohe, and he's the one that everybody's going to be watching.
33 seconds for Jack Haig. There's Ilnur Zakarin, who's held on well. Zakarin for Katusha Alpecin started the day 47 seconds down the lead of Peter Sagan. As it stands on the road, the man to watch is Dylan Teuns, who's the de facto leader, really. He was 14 seconds behind Peter Sagan. Sagan well dropped, over 5 to 10 minutes behind now.
Yeah, there'll be no attempt by Sagan to try and get back on. Interesting, he's just started this climb here, Jack Haig, and they've made the Mavic car pull out of that gap as well. So the commissaires obviously think it's going to come back very quickly.
9.2% average on this first kilometre of the Butrovi Vrch climb. It's the second time they've been up it today. Right at the start of the loop after they come through Zakopane, they crested this climb. It's 18.4% maximum gradient. And just look on the right-hand side, top right-hand side of the pitch, you can just see how steep this road is with the way the car's going up it. It's hard to get the perspective, isn't it, on the telly sometimes?
Yeah, very much so. And we haven't got any reference points. There's no houses or anything or driveways where we can see the angle. So very hard to see, but exceptionally steep, trust us.
Bob Jungels in difficulty. The first to be shelled out the back of this chasing group behind. TJ Van Garderen is doing some mighty work today for BMC Racing.
Domenico Pozzovivo never looks comfortable, does he? He always looks like he's wrestling his bike up the climbs.
That's Sam Oman at the back, another former Tour de l'Avenir star. TJ Van Garderen has just finished his work. It's now Samuel Sanchez, followed by Rui Costa, Vincenzo Nibali, Adam Yates, Rafał Majka, Wilco Kelderman, and Dylan Teuns. After that, Pozzovivo you were talking about. The Sky Rider there is Wout Poels, the Dutchman. On the right-hand side, wearing red 97, Ilnur Zakarin, the Russian. 10 points in the meantime for Haig at the top of that last climb. Pozzovivo there as well. Oman, Sanchez and Majka as Bob Jungels works his way back on.
Yeah, and you know, you can see that quite often. A climb that's so steep, a rider can get distance, but once it flattens out again, he finds his legs again and off he goes. And here's our idiotic friend with his jet wash.
Bit of childish humour for the day, eh?
And then his budget mate up the road with his watering can.
Samuel Sanchez. Great that he's carried on. He was about to retire a couple of years ago, but has got better and better again in the last 18 months. His late 30s, but riding almost as well as ever.
Hit the top of this climb with 7 kilometres to go. So still a long way to go on this climb.
Here's Jack Haig.
So currently we're at about 950 metres altitude. We end up at 1130 at the top of this climb.
.40 seconds, the gap's growing despite the pace from behind. This is incredible.
Great ride here by Jack Haig, and pushing on. We just got a little bit of downhill here, so we get a little bit of respite. But when you're away on your own like this, you can't just cruise down it. You have to get up on the big chain ring and push on and try and maintain that gap.
Still Sanchez is another motorbike's taking out the gap. Rui Costa looking very, very good today in the white jersey and red helmet of UAE Team Emirates. Rui Costa, well, there was a period where he was winning one-week stage races for fun, especially in Switzerland.
Yep, former world champion, now riding for UAE. It's a team with a very large budget, apparently, next year.
Well, the Emirates airline money is apparently going to come in and take effect, just as it has done in soccer for certain teams. Left turn here for Jack Haig. Orica Scott having a wonderful build-up to the Vuelta, and a lot of excitement about seeing both Simon and Adam Yates and Esteban Chavez in the same team. I'm going to remind you that Mikel Nieve has been confirmed as a new signing for them next year alongside Roman Kreuziger. They've got Carlos Verona, who's getting better and better and better. Well, what a climbing block they have now.
Yeah, very much so. And look at this guy, you know, this guy's no slouch by any stretch of the imagination. 40 seconds. If he gets over the top of this with 40 seconds, odds on he's got this one, even though the last 3K are a drag up to the finish. It's not a steep climb. So, yeah, I think these guys are going to have to start thinking about what they're going to do fairly soon.
Well, who is going to chase him? You'd imagine that everybody's trying to leave it up to BMC, which is what's happening now because they have multiple guys in the group. But Team Sunweb as well with 2 guys there. Sam Oomen maybe going to be to be forced to do some work and help out Wilco Kelderman. 42 seconds now. Still it grows, and still, of course, we go uphill. There's no let-up in this climb, by the way. 6.2% average for the second kilometre, 7.8% average for the third, 4.8 for the final kilometre.
You can see that
as Sanchez is done, pardon me. Now what happens? Wout Poels, who's been sitting in there all day, he takes it up at the front.
Well, if you're any of the other riders in this front group, you'd really hit it now, wouldn't you, to make sure that Dylan Teuns remains isolated.
No Sam Oomen for Wilco Kelderman. He was just dropped with that little bit of an acceleration. And this is Pozzovivo now. Pozzovivo, who's being followed by Majka, Dylan Teuns third wheel, and there's Adam Yates fourth wheel with a yellow helmet and navy top. Following him is Vincenzo Nibali, the winner of all 3 Grand Tours, all 3-week stage races in cycling. And Wout Poels, Rui Costa, Kelderman, Zakharin and Oomen just about hanging on at the back.
Majka is being absolutely shadowed by Dylan Teuns. He won't leave his back wheel at the moment. So Majka will just try and encourage another rider just to get in between him and Dylan Teuns so he can get away from him and surprise him with an attack later on, hopefully.
This is where we are, close to the top now. Final categorised climb of the day. Just over halfway up it. We've been up the steepest section of 18.4%. One of those where you think you look at it in the road book and it could be a typo. Looking at these roads, it certainly isn't, and the speeds at which some of the rides have been coming to a standstill. 49 seconds, however, for Jack Haig. This is turning into the ride of the week from the Australian.
Yeah, very surprising. Great ride here. We saw earlier in the week, as we've said on a couple of occasions, he got away and got caught out by that last climb. But Jack Haig just coming up to 50 seconds now with 10k to go, the majority of which is a very fast downhill descent. And we know how well Vincenzo Nibali can descend, but it's still a big ask.
Well, traditional welcome for those chasing on behind. How much noise can you make with one twig?
And all your pots and pans hanging off of it.
Pozzovivo on the right-hand side, a little bit of an impasse, and all this is going to play into Jack Haig's hands. Every time they stop to look at each other, every time one attack goes and it's caught, it's going to look very, very good for this 23-year-old from Australia, yet to take a win in professional cycling.
Yeah, so have that group now decided we're just worrying about the overall as Jack Haig gets over the top and really gets his head down.
Yet still close to the top of the climb. It's a little section where it gets a little bit easier. Now then, Dylan Teuns, followed by Adam Yates. And Orica Scott are in the strongest position here. They've got a man up the road, and they have their GC man following and covering attacks behind us. We're going to see another one now from Rui Costa, former world champion, about to wind it up from Portugal. So Costa's being chased by Dylan Teuns. Sorry, Tony.
No, he realises he's got to chase that one. He took a long, hard look to see which rider it was that had attacked, to see if they were a challenger for the overall, and closed him down very quickly. That's not going to help Dylan Teuns, because now he's going to get bombarded.
And here's Nibali. Nibali right from the back, as it was just about goodbye to Bob Jungels. Pozzovivo, the compatriot from Italy, is about to try and follow, and this is the only attack that really has broken the group behind.
Yeah, it was a much stronger attack from the one we just saw. And Nibali now going away. We know how good he is at descending, and this is his bid to take the lead overall.
Yep, Vincenzo Nibali being chased with him out there on the attack. Certainly the likes of Dylan Teuns had to wake up, but Teuns is struggling at the back after his team's done all that work for him all day.
Yeah, Majka there put the pressure on to try and bring that one back. He'll look back and see that Dylan Teuns is suffering, form an alliance with Nibali and hopefully push on.
Well, resurface roads up towards the top pier of the Butrovi Viech.
All this behind doesn't help Jack Haig, because the increase in speed, if it keeps going at that sort of speed, they're going to bring him back very quickly. But if they go and stop and go and stop and go and stop, that can help him.
Well, another motorbike taken out of the gap. Again, the gap has not changed on the graphic at the top left-hand side. Now it's Wout Poels' turn. Poels is going to be followed by Adam Yates as well. Rafał Majka third wheel. Poels just uses that motorbike as much as he can. Same for Adam Yates. Majka behind as well. It's pulling everyone behind. Not quite as aggressive or as effective of Vincenzo Nibali's attack, but he's getting the top here now. It's over the top, and over he goes for Jack Haig. 9 kilometres to go, and 9 kilometres away, 49 seconds of a gap from his first ever pro victory.
Looking very good, although look at how the front group's been shredded. Only 5 of them left now. Wout Poels goes again.
And Wout Poels is looking good here. Wout Poels trying to get that form back. Dylan Teuns has gone. Rafał Majka still in this group now.
Well, Majka needs to
and that's not 49 seconds. I'm not sure that's 49 seconds. I think we've got a problem with the GPS at the top on the left-hand side. So the stage win's still in the balance, I have to say.
Stage win's still in the balance, but he's looking good for it. It's probably 25, heading on for 30 seconds. It says now 46, but pretty sure it wasn't 46 seconds.
We will keep an eye on it. How much work is going to be done on the descent here? How much looking around? Tight gaps with only today and tomorrow to decide the overall general classification. This man is not a danger to all those chasing behind in the overall general classification. Jack Haig started the day at 1 minute and 58 down from the lead. He's looking for a stage win here and has just 46 seconds according to the figure in the top left-hand corner. 7.5 kilometres away from the finish. It's been an exciting day yet again on the Tour of Poland as Jack Haig took 10 points in the final categorised climb of the day. What awaits him now? Well, 7.5 Ks downhill before a slight rise for the last 2 or 3 kilometres up to the finish line in Zakopane. 1 day before the end of this race. Peter Sagan led coming into the penultimate stage. He was dropped about 20 kilometres ago. He will no longer be in the lead. As it stands, Rafał Majka's probably in the best place.
Well, he's probably in the best place, but all 5 of these have got something to gain by pushing on here. We had Majka in 3rd, Kelderman 4th, Wout Poels 7th, Adam Yates 8th, and Nibali in 11th. So if Rafał Majka can push on here and get the other guys to work with him, they're all going to jump up at least 1 place. Pozzovivo's gone as well, so they're going to leapfrog him. So there's 2 races going on here. We've got the stage win here, which is looking fairly good for Jack Haig at 33 seconds. And then we've got the overall battle.
Jack Haig.
Oh, sorry, don't forget, that can't be solved until tomorrow. That's going to rain on until tomorrow.
Beautifully poised going into the last stage. Now then, movement at the front. Wilco Kelderman, as the time trialist he is, just opening a little gap there. It's alongside Rafał Majka. Adam Yates will also come through as Wout Poels closes the gap.
Nibali's gone from this group. So the stinging attack that Nibali put in, it was the biggest attack, has really cost him, hasn't it?
Oh, Vincenzo Nibali dropped from this group. No time gaps yet from this group to those chasing on behind. The man at the back in the red still there is Ilnur Zakarin, giving himself a little bit more room on the descent. There's Wout Poels, Wilco Kelderman, Rafał Majka, Adam Yates and Zakarin try and close the gap. 35 seconds we're being told now.
The time bonuses on the line could be very, very important here.
Well, we think if it stands like this, the 10 seconds will be taken by Jack Haig, who would go on to take his first ever victory in professional cycling. Now, movement on the right-hand side. Zakarin is trying to ride away. First time he'd hit the front, in fact.
Lowest place on GC at 47 seconds, Zakarin.
As Rafał Majka with the green helmet, 33 now again, but all of this has got to carry on if they're to get anywhere near Haig at the minute. With all that hand holding up, it's all playing into Haig's hands.
Well, Kelderman wants to push on here. He's not, this isn't an attack by Kelderman, he's just trying to get the group to work together. See, Youngle's chased back on there at the back of the group.
Adam Yates as well is probably being told he can't contribute right now.
Oh, absolutely. And they're in the box seat. You know, they can get 1st and 2nd on the stage here at this moment. And Adam Yates at 33 seconds. This could be really good for the overall battle. And it could be a turning of the tables with 2 riders for them very much capable of winning the GC.
Well, they were riding earlier on today with Ruben Placer doing a lot of work. They planned this from a long way out and they're all back on.
Back together.
Everybody back in this group. It's a fascinating end to what's been an enthralling week of racing. 4 kilometres to go to Zakopane. Descent is almost done.
They're back together, but was Dylan Teuns on the back there? I couldn't see him.
And that would be a huge blow to BMC, wouldn't it, after they worked all day, and TJ Van Gogh and Samuel Sanchez both putting in fantastic rides.
Yeah, really good rides there to try and look after Dylan Teuns. And he's had the form up until today, but on climbs like we've got today with the severity of them, form can go very quickly. The sort of climbs where you just have to get up them. You just have to, whatever speed you can get up them at, you just have to get up them.
Sam Oman came to the front straight away to do some work.
Oh, look at the chat going on the right-hand side with Nibali and Majka.
Now this is Kelderman. Oman just blocks the way. See if he can get his teammate through. Kelderman is going to attack. Bob Youngles is going to stay with him as well. And this is the terrain that suits Bob Youngles much more.
Yeah.
2 big time trialists here at the front, as Yates knows he has to close the gap quickly.
Yeah, reacted very quickly there, Yates did, to bring that one back. And as soon as it came together, Youngles took the pressure off. And Haig now into town, 2.8 kilometres.
This is going to be his win. Barring any sort of incident or problem, Jack Haig surely has this one covered. 2.7 kilometres to go. A mighty talent. He's won all sorts of big races as a junior. In other second-tier stage races, he's been second, he's been third. He's been up there in a race won by Chris Froome in a stage race as well. 5th place at the Herald Sun Tour a couple of years ago. Here, he was attacking brilliantly the other day. All right, it's a little too far probably for the overall now. He has a teammate to try and look after that, but Jack Haig is 2 kilometres away from the first ever race in his career.
Yeah, a little bit more than 2K, 47-second gap. It's a complicated run-in until we get to 2 kilometres to go. Once he takes a very sharp left-hand turn, he'll soon see the 2K banner in front of him, and then all he's got is 190-degree right, 190-degree left-hand turn, literally on the K to go, and then it's dead straight to the finish. He'll be out of sight of the guys behind him. He's got 48 seconds, so probably 800 metres on the road.
Jack Haig, who attacked well before the last climb. And this surely is done and dusted.
Yeah.
Movement again from behind. Once more, I think it's from somewhere.
Is it Kelderman that's attacked?
Well, Kelderman, who went last time, just as Oman had been doing a little bit of work. Now Dylan Teuns is back, and he's going to follow this as well. That's something to think about straight away for Rafał Majka. It is indeed Kelderman.
And Majka straight away on the back wheel there of Dylan Teuns. He knows that the time bonuses could decide who's in the jersey here.
This time it was Oman, I think, who had a go. Dylan Teuns on the left-hand side. And here's that big right-hand turn you were talking about.
Yeah, we've got 1 90-degree right and 1 90-degree left. Nice and dry. Look at the crowds. We spoke about this earlier in the week, didn't we, Rob? The crowds are absolutely massive here. It's fantastic.
Well, Zakopane, the winter sports resort, is getting a huge boost here in the summer. And the Tour of Poland proving yet again to be a fascinating race. Now, Dylan Teuns, as the de facto leader, being forced to lead them in here. Behind, we're going to have another race for the GC. And remember, as you rightly stated, Tony, bonus seconds for second and third, 6 and 4 seconds, which in the context of the week, a tight race, another short stage tomorrow, just 130 Ks. It's going to be very important.
There's only 6 seconds between Majka and Teuns, and there's 6 seconds up for grabs for second place here. Majka's probably one of the quickest in that chase group.
Well, Jack Haig hasn't won a bike race in his professional career today. He won them for fun as a junior. He was brilliant at under 23 level, and here he is as a 23-year-old about to take his first victory in professional cycling. It'll be his team's second win of the week after Caleb Ewan won stage 4. A 24th victory of the season for Orica Scott. A team that started off looking at classics and sprints, but is now firmly set on winning uphill stages and those that finish with a top man in the general classification. This is a guy to look at for GC as the years go by, but for now, Jack Haig is going to win a World Tour race. He's going to win stage 6 of the Tour of Poland in front of thousands of fans. 5 hours on the bike, a brilliant attack on the penultimate climb of the day, gradients of up to almost 20%. He's held off the GC riders. There goes the jersey. A thanks on the radio to those who've helped him behind, and Jack Haig is about to savour his first professional victory. It's a big one for Orica Scott. Jack Haig, welcome to the professional peloton. A winner on stage 6 of the Tour de Pologne. And what a win it was.
Well, he can't quite believe it. Little shake of the head there as he comes across the line. And although we think it was a great win, we need to go back and watch this group here being led in by Dylan Teuns. Not quite sure why, because Majka right on his wheel there, pretty much guaranteed to pump him for the sprint.
Oh, Dylan Teuns at the front. On the right-hand side, they start to wind it up, and there goes Wout Poels in the black for Team Sky. Behind him, there's Bob Jungels as well. Rui Costru's fast in these situations, but Poels has opened up a gap with Jungels. It's Poels who's desperately going for those bonus seconds, 6 of them maybe, but here comes Bob Jungels as well. Also a quick finisher as we saw at the Giro d'Italia. Poels, though, still holding up the front for Team Sky. Poels to the line, he will come second, 6 seconds. A little bit of a hand up there from Poels. I wonder if he knows what the score is properly. In the end, he takes second and 6 bonus seconds. Third is Bob Jungels with 4. And I really hope, for Wout Poels' sake, he doesn't think he's won that. Not quite a touch of the Pozzatos about it, but there was an arm up in the air. This is the winner, though. This is the man who's done the business. Pose for a picture with Adam Yates. Orica Scott with win number 2 of the week. And that is some win indeed.
Absolutely fantastic win there by Jack Haig, and he deserves it after the big attack today and the big attack from earlier on in the week.
Jack Haig off to a podium celebration on the World Tour. He still can't believe it. We've had quite a day of racing. So as you look down on Zakopane, there has been plenty of drama in the hills. It's still going up on the road at the minute. The next group is going to come across. There's Giovanni Visconti being chased by Peter Vakuc in the blue. Visconti for Bahrain Merida, of course. His boss, Vincenzo Nibali, was unable to pull it off despite a superb attack towards the top of that last climb on the day. Also, Joaquim Rojas in this as well, looking very, very good.
If you're watching at home and thinking, why are these guys sprinting for what is essentially 15th, 16th place, there's still World Tour points up for grabs this far down. And at this time of year, if you haven't got a contract, they're very important.
Oh, Christian Eiking there for Francis Desjeux, winning that sprint in the next group down. Let's see if we can get some results then. This was the moment, and the moment of Jack Haig's career so far. To be hoping that there are plenty more like that. Orica Scott having a wonderful year. Jack Haig having a marvellous day.
You saw earlier in the week when he attacked that he had the quality to get away, but just got caught out by the last climb, and didn't happen this time around. Dylan Teuns here leading this one in. I think Teuns is going to be in the jersey, to be honest with you, although Wout Poels opened up quite a gap on him towards the end. Not enough. I think Teuns will be in the jersey for tomorrow.
Well, Wout Poels moves up 6 seconds ahead. There's a little gap there as well, but it looks as though Dylan Teuns might have done enough to stay in the jersey. Take the jersey for BMC.